Mesut, mate, I love the enthusiasm, I really do, but you gotta stop live tweeting during these Arsenal games. You're gonna put me out of a job, man.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm not the type of brother to play with. See a lot of people acting like oh yeah. All ball players sounding like haters. We the young kings of this generation, oh yeah.
What's up, y'all? Welcome back. Pitchside with Parker. Sorry about the slow week of videos. I actually had a couple, including this one, that I ended up having to re-record, so that's unfortunate. But we are back, and I'm here to talk about Mesut Ozil. I mean, I have spent certainly a lot of time on him before, as you may have known if you've seen my Mesut Ozil video. If you haven't, go ahead and check it out. But a lot has been happening with Ozil recently, so I did want to make another video and kind of just gather a few of my thoughts based on some of the recent stuff that's happened with Ozil, specifically the big story that he's probably played his last game for Arsenal. But before we get into all of that, we do have question of the day, and today my question is kind of a big one. I do really want to hear your thoughts on this. It's, will Mesut Ozil go down as a legend at Arsenal? I've seen a lot of debate about this on Twitter, and so I'm curious what you think. You know, he's a record signing. He's won 4 FA Cups, helped end the trophy drought, but obviously things have not ended very well. So, you know, there's a lot of differing opinion on that, and I'm curious what you might think. So be sure to answer that in the comments. And for the people that are new around here, be sure to follow me on Twitter at Parker K. Johnson. That is one way to stay connected, especially when I'm not able to make videos. And also be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you're new. Be sure to turn on those post notifications. So the huge news recently with Ozil is obviously his exclusion from Arsenal's rosters, both in the Europa League and in the Premier League. So now basically, if Ozil ever wants to play another game with Arsenal, his only option is with the U23s. There's been a lot of stuff going around with him in the past few weeks, really, as all of this has kind of been decided. You know, there was the whole thing on transfer deadline day with him paying Gunnersaurus's wage after Gunnersaurus got laid off by Arsenal, which was very weird in itself. I mean, it was such a strange thing to wake up to on transfer deadline day that was the main headline at Arsenal, and then Ozil's PR team clearly seeing an opportunity to get him in good graces or make the club look bad, or at the very least make a joke. And then, you know, Ozil's just been kind of doing his own thing since then. He made a statement once the Premier League roster came out and he wasn't on it, essentially saying loyalty is hard to come by these days. You know, I've always stayed loyal to Arsenal and they have not showed me that in return. Mikel Arteta has said that he's leaving him out for football reasons, which has been a common refrain, but I don't really see the truth behind that. And all of this has happened, of course, meanwhile, Arsenal on the field has been putting out the most boring, uninventive football that we've seen in a while. And it's been a main criticism of Mikel Arteta over the past several games, and of course, that makes all of this look so much worse when you have all this stuff happening in the media and all this shame being thrown on Ozil and all this debate, and the whole time he's sitting there being unused, not even at the game, and Arsenal can't create a single chance from the midfield. They can't seem to break the lines. They can hardly beat Rapid Vienna. It just amplifies how messy and unnecessary this whole situation is, in all honesty, because you cannot tell me that Mesut Ozil is not one of the 25 best players at Arsenal. You just can't tell me that. You can't tell me that guys like Joe Willock and Smith Rowe and literally unused players like Mustafi, who has not played a game this season for Arsenal, you can't tell me that those guys deserve a spot ahead of Ozil on the roster. But it's where we find ourselves. I think more than anything, I guess the reason I wanted to make this video is just that this is such a sad way for Ozil's career at Arsenal to end, because, you know, regardless of what you think about the question that I asked at the beginning of the video, if he's a legend for Arsenal or not, he's certainly done a lot for the club. And even if, you know, you're not a huge fan of Ozil, he has always been a model professional, and he's the type of guy that at the end of his career, as you would see with other athletes and other sports, other teams, he would get a great send-off at the end, you know? And now, his last game he played, which seems like ages ago, was against West Ham before the lockdown, will go down as his final game that he ever played with Arsenal. It just feels like such a hollow ending. It feels like there has to be something they could do for Ozil. But the way that he has kind of been treated by the club and by Arteta, and the statements that have been put out by all the different parties make it seem like there's not a whole lot of love lost there. You know, I was talking to Vic the other day about he deserves some sort of send-off at the Emirates, or maybe it's a video, whether it be from fans or from some of his teammates, that they could at least play before a game or something. But, you know, he might not even be at the game. I mean, he's sitting at home live tweeting the games now. Like, he's literally not even involved at all. And it's just so hard to watch. Like, seeing him tweet during the games while I'm doing the same thing just feels wrong. Because we should not be doing the same thing during a game. Myself and Arsenal's literal number 10. You know, it feels like a really messy divorce. Almost like, you know, your parents are getting divorced and you're used to every morning seeing your dad get up, make coffee, read the newspaper or something. And then all of a sudden, as a divorce is happening, he doesn't want to do that anymore because maybe mom likes to be in the kitchen in the morning. And so dad just kind of wakes up, rolls out of bed, looks all sad. And you're just thinking, what went wrong here? I didn't pinpoint this as much in the Ozil video I did before, but it's something that I've noticed as I've reflected on it a little bit and looked back at this whole saga, is that I do think the wage cuts kind of ended up being the nail in the coffin for Ozil. I think before I thought it was a big combination between that and his comments on China and obviously his own decline in form as well, but it does seem like the wage cuts were the final thing that tipped the scales, because he was playing for Arsenal under Mikel Arteta. It's not as if Arteta doesn't favor him. The cutoff date was the date that he refused the pay cut, and ever since then he still hasn't played a game for Arsenal. And it makes it all the more frustrating when you realize that that was probably the main cause of why he's been left out now, because in the end he was right. I mean, he was right about all of this. He said he wasn't sure about what Arsenal would do with the money that they saved by having his wages cut, and that's why he didn't want to take it. And honestly, he ended up being right. They laid off 55 people. They laid off the freaking mascot, and they're still investing in players. So clearly they still have a decent amount of money. I mean, they bought Thomas Partey, and that was a transfer that they couldn't do in installments. They had to pay the lump sum. They had to pay it all at once to get his transfer, to get his release clause activated. So it's not as if Arsenal don't have money. And I think Ozil really saw that one way ahead of time, and he got slated for it. But I just can't believe that that's the end of Ozil at Arsenal. But it is, and it's a really sad ending. But, you know, in the end, it is a little bit poetic as well, that in his last game against West Ham, Arsenal won 1-0. Who had the winning assist? The main man, Mesut Ozil. So I guess that's kind of how the tale will end for him, and definitely didn't want to see it end this way. I would still love to see him get some sort of tribute at some point from Arsenal, because I think he deserves it, whether you think he's a legend or not. And again, be sure to answer that in the comments. But yeah, that's the thoughts on the Ozil situation, and I feel like from now on, probably won't be a whole lot else to say about it. So yeah, that's all for this one. I'm glad to be back with the videos, and I promise there's going to be a bunch more videos coming this week. So be sure you're subscribed, be sure those post notifications are on, leave a like on this video, and I will catch you in the next one. Peace.